The Canadian Broadcasting Corporation presents the International Racquetball Classic. As players compete for $10,000 in prize money and the Leach Cup. Today, a women's semifinal match as Karen Walton, the 1979 U.S. national champion, goes against four-time Canadian ladies closed champion Linda Fourcade of Winnipeg.
Hello again, everyone. This is Scott Oak. Welcome back to the Court Sports Club in Winnipeg. This afternoon on the CBC International Racquetball Classic, we have more action from our ladies' side of the draw. We have already picked one of our finalists, that being Heather Mackay of Toronto, the reigning Canadian and American champion. This afternoon, we find out who is going to meet her in the final match as we play the remaining semifinal match, that between Linda Fourcade of Winnipeg, the second-ranked Canadian player, and Karen Walton of San Clemente, California. She is currently third-ranked on the American Pro Tour, a former professional and amateur American champion. Linda, you're facing a wealth of experience this afternoon.
I think I'm up against some pretty tough competition. I think Karen has got a lot of experience, has played a lot of super players, and I should have a good game.
Perhaps a tougher test than you got in round one from Ann Kashua.
I think it's going to be a very tough match, much harder than my first round.
Karen, we're told you have a great serve. Is that the key point of your game?
I've been working on a new serve, and so far it's paid off pretty well. So if it's on, it's a good serve. Strong point of my game.
Along with your backhand, we understand.
Along with my backhand, yeah. If it's working, if everything's working, you'll see a good show.
Okay, we look forward to a good semifinal match between the two of you. Right now, let's join Don Whitman and Charlie Brumfield.
Thank you, Scott. Five-time national champion Charlie Brumfield.
Well said, Don. Well said.
How about diagnosing this women's game for us and what our viewers should look for in the contrasting styles between men's play and women's play?
Well, I believe the key factor is the difference in athletic ability between men and women is speed and strength. The men's game is characterized with the fastball by tremendous outburst of power and the necessity for lateral quickness and movement. The women's game is more ballet. It's floating motion, movement, flowing to the ball, beautiful rhythmic strokes, and tremendously precise shot making.
Well, Karen Walton said she had been working on a new serve, and her strength is also her backhand. In this match, we'll look for those two features of her game.
I've had an opportunity since Karen's from San Clemente, which is only a few hours north of me in San Diego, to follow her career, and she has done very, very well. She was an upset winner when she won the Pro Championship 2 years ago. She beat the then reigning and dominating player Shannon Wright in the semis. The tournament was played in Tempe, Arizona, and then went on to defeat a young lady from Utah who finished in the finals of this match last year, Janelle Marriott. She did it on the strength, I think, of her backhand, and she's a pretty cool head under pressure. Right now, both of the girls are a little bit tentative right now. They're getting into the flow of things, that happens in the men's division also. You usually feel your opponent out for a couple of points and get established to the type of rhythm you're going to use. Her backhand, I think, the fact that it was pointed out that her serve is her chief weapon early is, I don't believe to be true. Karen Walton's basic strength is her ability to play well under pressure, and the backhand strength she has, both going up and down the line and cross court with a nice sweeping swing involving both the shoulder and the wrist. Fourcade, of course, being from Canada, we see less of her in the United States tournament. She very rarely ventures out of the protection of the maple leaf, and although she has done exceedingly well in the closed tournaments, she has yet to prove herself against this type of competition, so the matchup should be interesting, particularly since their former doubles partners having teamed together in 1979 to take the Klondike Open here in Canada.
Well, so far, Linda Fourcade is holding her own in this game against Karen Walton.
Well, she's got double figures. There's that nice backhand, and Fourcade's playing pretty conservatively. Normally speaking, when you get a ball at mid-court, your first choice of option of shot is not to go to the ceiling. But both girls are still rallying, as we said, tentative, moving the ball around, waiting for that opportunity. There was a lucky bounce. The ball cracked out in the back wall. We couldn't see it from the camera angle, but Fourcade hit the ball improperly high, and yet it caught the juncture back in the back wall and turned out to be a fine shot.
In women's play, I think we'll see longer rallies than we have seen in the men's competition, although last week Strandemo and Marty Hogan staged some rather sensational rallies.
That was an excellent match. But generally, you're right that women's match play has longer rallies, very similar to, as we compare tennis, the Chris Evert type situation. If that's her new serve, and she uses it 21 times, she can beat Marty Hogan. This is called the short angle crack. No offense to anybody. And it's popped out there, bounced twice. Fourcade didn't even get a swing at it. Beautiful play. There's the ceiling ball. A little bit comes out deep, and there's that backhand, flat down the middle, and with good pace. When I say the women don't hit it as hard, they still hit it quite hard. The women have been timed. Shannon Wright and Heather Mackay, the big hitters in the game, have been timed at 100 miles an hour, which is right around where Nolan Ryan throws his fastball, so they're not no pikers. Good paces on the shot.
Well, regardless of which lady wins this match, an unenviable task going into that final against Heather Mackay.
Heather is the dominant player in the world today after having taken up racquetball less than 2.5 years ago. It's absolutely unbelievable. And in addition, she's 37 or 38 years old, depending upon which almanac you look at, and she has won the squash title for 17 years in a row, only losing one game. I happened to be there when she lost that in Manhattan, and it was quite a sensation among the squash crowd. The crowds in racquetball and squash are quite a bit different. In racquetball, the crowd, as the match gets tighter, tends to get very boisterous. It's more of a blue-collar sport, whereas in squash, when I was sitting in the gallery in New York City, there's a baby crying, and the crowd in unison turned to the baby and went, shh.
So did it have any effect?
No. You're talking about two completely different types of people, but Heather has been able to mingle well and is quite friendly with all the lady pros in both sports. Karen's known as the California Kid. Her first love is surfing, and since there's very little money in that professionally, she's decided to make her living in racquetball and has done quite respectably, although there has been some comment among the so-called experts that she's suffered through an Orville Moody type year where she came from nowhere to win the national title and has dropped off considerably this year, but I don't consider third in the world to be dropping off.
Is there that much money available for women in professional tournaments?
At this point in time, there is disputes among the sponsors and associations as to how much money the women are going to make. They have formed a union and are in the midst of negotiation as to what's going on. But for instance, Heather in one tournament last year won $40,000, and that was in a more of a freak event, the Coors event, featuring players from all different sports. Generally speaking, most of the women make most of their money on endorsements.
Well, I think we're going to see here in this slow-motion replay how Walton has Fourcade a little rattled and perhaps just a little off balance as well.
Okay, there's the backhand.
Karen, you both started serving well, but Linda's been having some problems of late.
I'm not serving that well.
Not happy with yours either?
No. Once I get going, they start firing. If I concentrate on just blasting the ball and just ripping it, I start getting my momentum going.
Been stuck at 7-4, 4-7 here. What's the problem?
I can't kill the ball. I keep setting it right back up. So I need to slow down, slow the pace of my swing down. Be more patient.
Okay, we'll see what happens as the CBC International Racquetball Classic continues after this.
Karen Walton is leading Linda Fourcade in this women's semifinal, but Charlie, as she said in the interview with Scott, she is not really happy with her serve.
No, she ought to put the serve she's using on waiver. She's not getting the proper spin on the ball, and it's popping up for relatively easy setups for Fourcade, but Fourcade has not been really taking advantage of it so far.
Well, we're going to rejoin game one, and now Karen Walton has moved into an even bigger lead and appears to have Linda Fourcade in a little trouble here as she picks up another point.
Generally speaking, though, both girls, although they haven't been executing well, have been making the proper shot selections. There's a good serve. Now watch this. I believe that the proper method of returning this is to step in on the ball. What she did was take one step to the side and let the ball play her. There's the attacking ball. That's illegal in the United States because of the 5-foot safety zone. And what she used there was a squash shot, a reverse pinch. Forehand to the left wall, front wall, which left Walton standing. The natural tendency is to move to the left when they hit that shot, and the ball squirts out to the right and low.
It's interesting you pointed out the illegal maneuver as far as play in the United States is concerned in the attacking zone. Perhaps for our viewers you could go into a little more detailed explanation.
Okay, you'll see when we get a view of the side wall, there's a little red line behind the two big red lines going up the side of the wall about 2 inches, and that is the safety zone in the United States. It is an imaginary zone beyond which the encroaching serve returner cannot move for fear of hitting the server with the racket. In Canada, you're allowed to play the serve on the fly inside of that zone, and I think that makes you suspect of giving your opponent the waffle face. And in the interest of safety, I think the Canadian rules makers will generally come around, just as I believe that the United States rule makers will originally come around to the innovative protection of the eye that the Canada rules require. You have to wear eye guards in regular Canadian tournaments. Fourcade is playing to the ceiling quite a bit, slowing the pace down. Walton is considerably stronger as far as the pace of her ground stroke is concerned. So if the play is kept low like it was those last couple of shots, Fourcade is going to end up leaning against the sidewall in disgust, just as she did on that last rally.
15-9.
Notice how they're served. Walton tries to attempt to serve to both sides. The normal rule when I'm teaching a clinic is you should serve 75% of all the balls to your opponent's weakness, which in most cases is the backhand side. But if you serve every ball over there, the player will eventually get grooved. So what you want to do is do just what a pitcher does. Try to throw a fastball and then set them up, then throw a curve and a changeup, and then back to your best pitch, your fastball. But the best pitch should always be to your opponent's backhand.
9-16.
Should you try and do any faking at the line when you're in the serving box as to disguising your serve?
The top men players have got a motion down which is extremely deceptive and I believe unfair, because it generally revolves around the fact that the ball passes in front of the body in such a way as to obscure the shot momentarily. And it's my estimation that racquetball would grow faster, particularly on television, if they went to a system of quadrant serving, very similar to squash or tennis, so that both the opponent and the TV camera knows which side the serve's going to go to. I think the serve has become too dominant. Fourcade thought she got that play. Let's watch this appeal system. I thought that was a two-bounce get. Here comes Fourcade coming in on the ball. The ball obviously bounced twice, but in the interest of integrity, she continued playing, but was overruled by the referee. Nice serve down the left, and the same problem again. She let the ball play her rather than stepping in. Now, admittedly, it's difficult to step in on the ball when you don't know which side of the court that Walton's going to serve, and that's why her serving so many balls to the forehand like that really sets up those aces. Wide-angle drive. There was a wide-angle shot when she got the BB back wall coming into the forehand. She hit the ball right around. Notice how she looks at the camera, a true professional. Nice Z serve. Got her going the wrong way up against the glass. Now the forehand. Now that was a fluke. That was a fluke shot. She tried to swing at the ball with her normal fluidity and had to pop over the top of the ball, which directed it down toward the crotch where the floor meets the front wall. Good serve. She's got her guessing now, and our serve is coming around right now. Fourcade has no chance. Couldn't get there in time.
Point.
And that's game point.
See the ball bouncing just a little bit too late to get there. And one of the things that Fourcade did wrong there is she looked up on the shot.
Karen, I'm sure you were happier with your serve towards the end of the game. It seemed to keep Linda off balance.
Yeah, first game's always my hardest. Once I get going, then I start blasting the ball harder, and which, like I said, gets my momentum going. So my serves were good at the end.
You beat her up and down the lanes a lot, too.
Yeah, I was passing way too much before, and I don't know, like I said, once I start getting into the groove, I start playing better.
Okay, we'll see what happens in game 2 between Walton and Fourcade after this commercial break.
Sidewall, front wall shot. Let's say you've been reasonably successful hitting straight in shots, but then all of a sudden your opponent is beginning to pick up on your game and has gotten a couple of those shots back. Then it's time for a change, and the proper change is the sidewall, front wall pin shot. This shot is hit, if hit properly, it's the sidewall first, then the front wall, carrying straight over to the other wall, but bouncing twice before it hits the side wall. If you hit the ball too high or hit it too hard off the front wall, it'll carry to the side wall, leaving a setup for your opponent. But remember, and hitting a couple straight ins, your opponent is anticipating the ball coming straight out. He will be moving to cover that shot, but all of a sudden, your shot looks the same, like you're going to hit a straight in, but you're hitting the side wall and then the front wall first. In hitting the shot, you want to put some kind of pace on the ball, but you don't want to hit it too hard to where it carries off the side wall.
Well, Marty Hogan's tip, the pinch shot. Do we see more of that, Charlie, from Canadian players than the United States players?
Well, I think Fourcade, for instance, is demonstrating in this match the use of the pinch, particularly the reverse pinch, quite well. And I've noticed whenever I venture up into Canada to play in the tournaments that the Canadian players tend to hit more pinches, and I think it's because of the squash influence, because in squash, the winning shot is often a both side wall, front wall.
The score is tied at 9 in Game 2, 21-10. The victory for Karen Walton over Linda Fourcade in the first game.
Well, Fourcade is just getting her head speed bagged by these serves right now. And what she's trying to do is play them honest. She's trying to play right in the middle and wait until she sees where the ball is going to go before she moves. Hey, great get by Walton. Here's some good motion by the ladies. And the flat ball down the line by Walton was precisely executed. But watch Fourcade. She doesn't move until she sees where the ball is going to go, and it's too late. What she has to do now, or what I would recommend in my articles, is that she should gamble to one side or the other and try to pick off one of the balls. See, she didn't even move until she saw it. She's not getting any balls back right now. So gamble one way or the other, perhaps get lucky and guess to the right side, intercept the ball, and cram the ball down Walton's mouth once, so Walton won't be so free and easy when she serves the ball. You're never going to beat a server in this game with a fast ball unless you can disrupt their pattern, and you can't do that by standing there and getting aced on both sides.
Well, Karen Walton said at the outset that she had been working on her serve, and while it took a while for her to get that serve going, she has certainly been effective with it in the latter stages of this match.
It's been the difference, there's no question about it, although I do think Karen's slightly stronger during the rally. She definitely would not be running away with the game had it not been for excellent serves, particularly the point to notice is she's been going to both sides with equal effectiveness.
Karen Walton hoping to advance to our women's final against Heather Mackay. Linda Fourcade may have something to say about that, and she certainly would like to influence the decision.
There's the ceiling ball slowing the game down. That shot off the back wall that she just made was I thought that was a two-bouncer. Let's see if there's an appeal. Looked like freak ball, right off the top of the racket and bounced in, so it makes the appeal unnecessary. Let's see if we can see on slow motion whether the ball did bounce twice here. It's coming down into the service zone. I thought it bounced twice. American players are not as honor-bound, particularly the professional players, as are the Canadians, who tend to call their own, except for a few exceptions, notably five-time national champion Lindsey Myers.
11-13.
Skip ball.
Point.
Okay, Karen's letting her back in right now. She's put a few balls in the dirt, and the game could get quite close. Nice Z serve. Force the ceiling return. Staying up there with great patience. Now, once the flat game starts, you see how hard Karen hits the ball, and at least Fourcade with the carrot shot, the donkey chases the carrot to the back corner and then can't get the ball back. Very, very frustrating.
13-12.
Okay, she's starting to lose control of her serve a little bit now. Notice how she flew that ball at the back wall, but recovered for a nice kill shot at the back wall. If you can put some pressure on any player, I don't care if it's Marty Hogan or Lindsey Myers or any of the other top players in the game, they will tend to identify with that pressure by making their shots worse.
Karen Walton getting back into control of this game as she picks up another point. And now we'll get Scott Oak to talk with Linda Fourcade.
Linda, you're making some great gets, but she keeps forcing you out of center court.
Yes, she's blasting the ball by me. I think I'm moving up a bit too quick, so I think this time I'm maybe going to stay back a bit and let her hit it to me in the back court, and I can put it away.
You're going to try and mix your serves more?
How did you know that? Yes, I am.
It's a very astute observation on my part.
You're learning how to play racquetball.
Charlie, would you agree with Linda Forcade's assessment of how she should play?
Well, there's two ways to play in racquetball. One is to get very, very close and try to cut the ball off before the angle expands on the pass shot going by you. The second is to lag and try to come forward on the ball. I feel that the quickest way and most efficient way for a lady and most amateurs to play is to lag and come in with the ball rather than get beat by pass shots, because if she lets Walton beat her with pass shots, Walton will not hit the ball on the ground. If she stays back and forces Walton to shoot the ball, there's two things that can happen, and two of them ain't good.
17-12. Karen Walton on the verge of moving on to our women's final against Heather
17-12.
Mackay after winning game 1, 21-10.
I think what's hurt Forcade a little bit is she's just maybe 6 inches slow getting to the side on the serve. She's been amazingly strong. Nice re-kill there. Forcade caught the sidewall. Remember we talked earlier about the sidewall front wall shot. You don't want to hit that. She caught the sidewall and
18-12.
Walton was able to pop it back in the corner. She's been amazingly strong during the rally, but see that 6 inches, she just doesn't quite get over the ball. Perhaps some exercises would help her. Some squat thrusts, maybe with light weights, would get her over there just a little bit quicker and put her into the upper echelon, which no doubt she's attempting to attain. Same shot again.
Well, that serve has definitely handcuffed her, and Walton has served quite a number of aces.
20-12.
There's the backhand up the back wall. Tough shot because of the glass, and she mishit that ball along the sidewall, and that's the match.
21-10, 21-12, and we take a look at the winning point in game 2.
Here's a shot coming off the back wall, and it's hard to see, but Walton, being the pro, plays it down the lane, and Forcade mishits it. I think she's a little bit tired, too.
I think she was almost somewhat relieved to get off the court the way she was having difficulties with that serve.
But it was a pretty well-played match. It boiled down to if you're going to get ace 10 times the game, it's going to be difficult for you to maintain any type of offensive continuity.
It certainly is. And now we have a situation where we have Karen Walton going against Heather Mackay in our women's championship match that will be upcoming on our CBC International Racquetball Classic. Right now, we're going to meet the two gals and the champion, the semifinal winner, Karen Walton, as she talks with Scott Oak.
Linda, it seemed you just couldn't maintain your position in center court.
No, I couldn't. You're right. I tried to stay in center court, but each time I did, I had to scramble out to pick up a good drive down the wall or a ceiling shot or a pinch in the corner. It seemed like I was flying all over the place. I just couldn't control the game at one point.
Karen, you had a lot of tough serves, a lot of aces. Let me ask you if you concentrate on making the ace or just getting hard serving?
Yeah, I concentrate on my serve mainly. If you've
Ace?
Well, yeah. Yeah, it works out that they ace out most of the time, so I guess that's what I'm concentrating on. But,
Okay, you're in the final now against Heather Mackay of Toronto. A lot of players are in awe of how quickly she's risen to prominence on the Pro Tour. Are you?
well, when I first started playing, it took me a year, or 2 years, I won the Nationals, so maybe she's in awe of me too. Let's hope so. I don't know. I'm anxious to play her.
All right, Karen Walton advances to our ladies' final against Heather Mackay of Toronto. Next week on the International Racquetball Classic, our second men's semifinal. David?
The Canadian Broadcasting Corporation presents the International Racquetball Classic.